Okay. Welcome back to another show of He Said, She Said. If this is your first time tuning in, this is your boy Q Walk on the mic. And then, of course, we got the first lady in the building. Go introduce yourself, my lady.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Chrissy J, on the ones and twos. I do. Hold on, y'all. I do that.
She does that. She goes through that.
Does that.
You does that?
Goes.
I goes.
You
Who's that?
goes.
Jamar?
I goes through. He
She
goes through
that.
But we got Christina in the building. Of course, we got, I'm going to let you introduce yourself since she said we don't never get your name right.
Man, they don't never get it right. But anyways, man, what's up, y'all? It's Jarvis, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Let's get to it.
My name is Jarvis. But anyways, let's get on into today's topic, which is blended families. Everybody in this room is probably dealing with, or is dealing with this, I should say. Well, it's not for me, really. But anyway, so Chrissy J, with you being the lady in the building, you should have the most influence on this conversation because I feel like a lot of it does deal with women. When do you think is a good time for a person to introduce the significant other to the kid?
My answer today is probably going to be a lot different than my answer was 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Why is that?
But I was young, man. I ain't know no better. I just kind of felt like,
You got cataracts or something?
Man,
Some shades about
I don't
that.
worry
She's
about this.
superstar today. Look at her with the shades on.
Don't worry about it so much.
She's superstar status.
Hold on. It's every day. Without the shades.
But yeah, when should you introduce your significant other to your kid?
That was shade right there, y'all.
That was shade.
My thing is, right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that there's a specific timeline, like, oh, you should wait, a month, you should wait a year, you should wait 6 months. I mean, I think it's per situation. And it depends on what your past is like. Like, nah, if you got a new boyfriend every other 3 months, I don't think that you should bring, or boyfriend or girlfriend, I don't think you should bring that person around your kids all the time because you don't necessarily know them. So I'm gonna take it back to what I was saying. Years ago, when I dated for what?
Pause. I just didn't know what.
Nah, I forgot to turn my FaceTime on. Shanika was FaceTiming me.
Man, she know what she's doing right now. I don't know why she FaceTiming you right now.
Something will work, I'm sure.
Go ahead, though.
But it kind of went off a conversation we had last week with Quinn and Robin when it was like, do women date to marry? For me, if I was with you and I was in a relationship, you know what I'm saying? I was in love, so you gonna meet my kids, whatever. That's if we was together.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a little more cautious. I'm not as open. Of course, now I'm married, but I'm saying I don't think people should be as open and so eager to just bring somebody else around their kids until you really know them. However, I'm not the type of person that says, well, you gotta wait 6 months or 8 months because just because somebody's good for you don't always mean they're good for your kids. Mm-hmm. And I'm also not the type of parent that feels like, well, as long as I'm happy, I'm the adult, they're the kids, so what I say goes, because everything don't always jig, and that's important. And not to say that the person you with and your kids are always going to get along. That's not necessarily always the case. However, that is important to know whether or not they have a chemistry.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's a certain timeline. I know some people will say, well, at least 6 months so I can see if it's going to work. And I guess it just depends on if you're serious with that person. Not just somebody you're dating. If it's just like, if you messing with 3, 4, 5 people, nah, don't be bringing all them dudes around your kids or all them females around your kids if you're out thotting.
I was gonna say, why I feel like you talking to me though?
I mean, because me and Jarvis is committed.
I mean, she was like stirring dead heavy this whole conversation.
No,
like,
I was looking at the camera.
Oh, okay. Dang.
Guilt.
I'm trying to figure out what I did.
I was looking at the camera.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
and I'm on my way to being in a relationship, but go ahead.
Whoa.
Hey.
This why you was in my ears today?
Man, so Jarvis, anyways.
I wasn't finished. I wasn't finished.
Go ahead.
Shoot.
Go ahead, you got it.
I feel like if who you're dating, if this person is important to you, they should be somebody that should be important to your kids at some point in time. But like I said, if it's just dating here and there, like, we went on a couple of dates, we cool. Nah, you ain't got to bring every Tom, Dick, and Harry around your kids. But if it's somebody you feel like is getting serious, then yeah, I think it's time. Like I said, it's to each his own. I don't think there's really a specific timeline. I don't think you can put a timeline on when's the right time for somebody to meet your kids. If it's somebody that you're in a relationship with. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. JT Theodore.
Man, I agree. I mean, you definitely got to know if it's going to be serious or not. And I'm like Tina, man. I look at it completely different now, you know, than I probably would have 10, 12, 13 years ago. Man, it's some people out here, man, that bring their kids around someone of the opposite sex just to get more play.
What you mean by that?
Like, it's like, you know, if you have women that, she's so adorable, he's so cute, and then on top of that, it makes you look like Father of the Year.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, try and get that play that way. But now, seriously, on a real note, if you're in a relationship with a person and you could really see longevity with that person, then I say that you do have to have that trial period where you see how it's going to mesh and stuff like that. But you have to be able to trust this other person, I think, because it's so much craziness going on out here in the world. Like, you see a lot of times where you have somebody's significant other, boyfriend, that has physically abused somebody's child or something like that, and then the woman might say something like, well, I didn't know he was never like that. But you, from here on out, once that person meets your child, whether it's female or male, like, you know, you putting your trust, a lot of trust in that person.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't think time really plays a big factor. I see Lavelle here said after a year, make sure it lasts. Typically for grown folks like us, you know, a year relationship probably in some cases will, I mean, you know, it's a symbol of it's possible that it's gonna last.
Yeah, somebody else just commented after a year.
Yeah. I mean, you know, after a year at this age, you pretty much know whether it's going to be serious or not. You know, a lot of people at this age don't play around. You know what I'm saying? When you're in your mid-30s, I think if I were to get in a relationship, you know, say something were to happen to me and my girl, but if I was to end up getting in a relationship and it didn't last a year, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It probably wouldn't even be a relationship, honestly. You know what I'm saying? We'd be messing around for a year, talking for a year. So, I mean, I think a year is pretty solid if you want to put an actual timetable on it. But I think my girl actually met my son before a year, and vice versa. I met her daughter before a year. But man, it's so many particulars that go into that. You know, especially if you're gonna be together for a long time. You know, you gotta agree on how you discipline the kids, because that's a huge
we're gonna bring up that in a little bit.
Man.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit.
What's your take, Q?
Yeah, with your baby girl, because we already know what's up with that.
The little light skinned one.
The little light skinned one.
The little light skinned one. Miss McIntyre says you can be with a person for a year and still not know them in some cases, which is actually true. Me, Tina, while she was, you know, giving me the death stare and everything, I'm gonna go back to me personally. I got a 6-month rule, and I feel like if you wait a year and it don't work, that's a year wasted. And what if, like you said, what if the kid don't like the person? You know what I'm saying? And that's a year y'all just wasted. 6 months is enough time to where you should know if it's gonna be something.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I'm saying, then you can, you know, have that conversation about bringing your kid along. So me personally, I feel like 6 months is long enough to know that this has the potential to be something serious. And then you might want to introduce your kid into that person. But Tina, let me ask you this. With being a woman, what advice would you give another woman? Because let's say in my situation, I introduce my kids to a woman who ain't got no kids. How do you think that woman should handle that?
If you introduce your children to a woman that doesn't have any
Because
kids,
if you introduce your kids to a woman who has kids, she already has that nurturing motherly love and everything. But how would you go about it to a woman who doesn't have kids?
well, there's gotta
And vice versa.
It's a package deal, man.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I knew a girl that I used to be cool with that said in the beginning she didn't want to date a man that had kids. So if you already know that, then why are you dating a man that has kids? And then no, but she would date a man and then get jealous. And so, well, why are you dating him? He has
She would get jealous of the kids?
She would get jealous. There were times where it'd be Christmas time. They lived in different states. And she would be mad because, well, he's going to go over and watch the kids open their gifts. Why can't I go? You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of like, y'all just got together. That's not even something where you've really been introduced to them like that. You know what I'm saying? like you said, it's a package deal. People got to be understanding, and sometimes it's harder when people. It's hard when people don't have kids, and I say this a lot for women, from my perspective.
And that's why I wanted to get your perspective.
Guys don't really, per se, I'm gonna say, get as jealous. Women do. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen women
jealous of the kids.
Yes, of the kids or the relationship that you have. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, Quentin Walker.
Why you gotta put my government out there? I'm my government.
Listen, it's gonna take a certain type of woman. You know what I'm saying? Especially if she don't have kids, to be able to understand a relationship that you have with your daughter. And that's nothing bad. You have an excellent relationship with your daughter. But your daughter's gonna come first. There may be certain situations where your girl may have something she wants to do, but when it comes to like your daughter's competitions, and I'm not saying that you're never gonna make, if you're in a relationship and you love that person, that you're never gonna make, adjustments for it. But sometimes women that don't have kids don't understand what it is. And I'm not saying women, people, sometimes when they don't have kids, they don't understand what it means to really parent.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they don't understand the sacrifices and the things that you do and the love that you have for your kids. That's not everybody, but I'm saying, as far as women. So,
and that's what I'm saying, like women, and then there's that whole aspect of some people believe that just because you have a baby by somebody, you can always go back to that person. You can always get some type of, sexual feeling with that person. So some women can't get past the fact that there's nothing between you and the child's mother. They still think, like for instance, the Christmas thing.
Mm-hmm.
Some women might get jealous of that thing. Oh, he going over and spend time with her. You see what I'm saying? And it's not really about the kids because they think, well, they still got something going on. So how would a woman get past something like that?
That's her own insecurity.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. That's insecurity, and that's a discussion that he's got to be able to have with her beforehand. Listen, these are the things that I do. This is how I am with my family. Now, of course, once they're in a serious relationship, then you have Christmas at your place with her and the kids. You know what I'm saying? But when it's just the beginning, and that's what you've been doing, and that's what your kids are used to, then she's got to be understanding to that. Like I said, when I first got with my husband, he wasn't my husband. A lot of times, people don't understand that I had a good relationship, or I have a good relationship with my kid's father. You know what I'm saying? Even especially my son's father, because he's the one that lives here. But people automatically assume that if you are getting along with them, something must be going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and his wife now, matter of fact, my son's father's wife just took me out to eat for my birthday. You know what I mean? A lot of people's like, what?
Yeah.
They would feel like that. But me and her ain't never had no beef, but it ain't always been, you know what I'm saying, like on the up and down. Never nothing bad, but it was always like, maybe with her, like, I don't know about her. You know what I mean? She said she didn't understand the dynamic of our relationship because we were such good friends. And she really maybe didn't know how to deal with that. But then she said, I seen y'all being friends was the best thing, for your son. And I understand and I know that that's it. There's nothing going on. And that's the thing to be able to get past. So, I don't know. I just feel like you got to be understanding, man. Like you said, it's a package deal. You with me, that's my kids. That's what comes along with it. And you got to understand what it means to be a parent and the sacrifices that I may have to make. And it may not always go in your favor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, Jarvis, with us being men and fathers, it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes for us to know that another man is going to be in our child's life.
Yeah.
At the time, my daughter's mom, she had a boyfriend, right? This was the first boyfriend she had since we had went our separate ways. So this was the first time I had known about another guy being around my daughter. And at the time, I felt some type of way about it, to be honest. So like y'all said, it took years. This was my daughter's 10, so about 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really upset that another guy was around my child. I was more upset of how she went about it. Because me personally, I feel like, and I'll see what y'all think about this too. Do y'all feel like the other parent should let y'all know beforehand the introduction is going to be made? Or how would you feel about them telling you afterwards?
Depends on your relationship.
Yeah, I think it depends on your relationship. And it's not...
Because I was told afterwards. Like, I met the dude at a birthday party. You know what I'm saying?
But she don't... Technically, she really don't owe you that, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's what she told me.
Yeah, she really don't owe you that. Now, common courtesy would say, hey, I'm gonna let you know I got somebody. I'm gonna introduce her or whatever, and then maybe you could prep your daughter for it or whatnot. But man, that whole situation there, man, like with my son's mother, she ended up getting remarried. the crazy thing about that whole situation is I actually know the guy that she ended up getting married to. We actually went to college together for a couple years at K-State. But I knew he was a good dude. But still, yet and still, my son's gonna be around him. You know, I had a conversation with him, but it wasn't nothing aggressive. It was just, it was plain and simple. Like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? I respect the fact that you're gonna be in my son's life, and you know, blase. You know, all I ask is that you don't disrespect him, and you don't disrespect his mother in front of him, because he doesn't need to ever see his mother being disrespected by a man in front of him. And I mean, that was pretty much the basis of the conversation. It wasn't disrespectful. You know, he was like cool because he's kind of in a similar situation where he has a child with someone else, and you know, kind of, you know, so he was blending a little bit with her too. But honestly, man, I lose so much respect for people, man, who don't address that elephant in the room. So, you know, with my current situation now, you know, with my girl's daughter's father, like, he still has yet, you know, and I've been around him when if he's, you know, every so often when he does, you know, come pick up or something like that, and he hasn't spoken a word to me yet. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm around your daughter. Like, you should speak to me. Like, yeah, like, it should be a conversation we should have. And I mean, as long as he doesn't come at me aggressive, I'm cool hearing whatever he's got to say. You know what I'm saying? As long as it ain't like, yo, if you do this, then I'm like, nah, you ain't coming like that, bro. But if you come to me like, hey, man, I just want to let you know, man, that, you know, I know you're going to be around my daughter. You know, please, man, just be respectful, show her respect, you know, and da-da-da. Man, cool, man. Look, bro, I respect you so much for that. And, you know what I'm saying, we can have a good conversation. Man, I call him up and be like, hey, yo, man, your daughter's having a, you know, a little play going on, man. You might want to swing through, or, you know what I'm saying, if you need help with something with your daughter, I got you. But
no, that's how it was when I had met him at the time. Like you said, it wasn't no aggressiveness. It wasn't no like, okay, who could be the tough guy here? Like, it was just simple. She was like, hey, this is such and such. This is Nyla's dad, Quinn. She dapped it up. Like, what's up with you? And like you said, I said, you know, as long as you don't cuss in front of my daughter, do anything disrespectful in front of my daughter, I ain't got no problems with it. Whatever problems y'all got is between y'all. Just don't do it in front of my daughter.
Do the mama cuss in front of your daughter?
Nah.
So what I'm saying, if she did, you said as long as you don't. What if that was a environment she was used to? Are you just telling him he can't cuss around her, period?
No, she's just not used to that environment. Like, even when I slip and say something in front of her, she'd be like, Dad, you said you weren't going? So she's not used to that. So I want to make sure it maintains that way. Like, she's not around that type of stuff.
Let me ask you this though, right? Because this is like a touchy subject, and I used to feel some type of way towards it, but I feel a little different. How do you feel about say your daughter's mother got married to dude? How would you feel about him disciplining her?
Big question.
We great to touch on that. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
I got you about to say about her calling him daddy. I was going to say, game over.
That too.
Game over.
Talk about that too.
Game over. Game over.
We're going to talk about that too.
We call the show off and call him out real quick. But we're going to take a quick commercial break here on He Said, She Said, WLXU 93.9 FM. When we come back, I'll answer Jarvis's question about disciplining the child.
Don't get my name right. It's Burby. He said.
On the paper, take it up Vic out there. So let's see here. Get off of this. Right, it's about, you said about 30 seconds. So you gotta waste that much time. Welcome back to He Said, She Said on WLXU 93.9 FM. We're talking about blended families today, and Jarvis wanted to know about discipline. Now, explain discipline, because there's different forms.
All right. Here, I'm gonna just cut to the chase.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I'm saying.
First things first. You're not putting your hands on my child.
You can do timeout. You can do whatever. But like from a physical standpoint.
No.
Like if your child. All right. Let me ask you this: do you whoop your kids?
Only if it's something that's like drastic. Like that's because I got whooped growing up, and I was like, I don't want to do that to my kids. Every time they do something wrong, I'm gonna whoop them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But they still get disciplined. But when they get a whooping, it's like, if I've told you 3-4 times and you still continue to do the same thing, then you deserve to get that butt spanked. You know what I'm saying? But other than that,
see, and I agree with all that.
Except
right?
for my daughter.
Like,
I've only touched her one time in her whole 10 years. And that's what it was.
And then you cried.
And I cried.
And you cried.
And I cried afterwards, like, man, I shouldn't have did that. But go ahead, Jarvis.
All right, so like my son, he's a good kid, man. I've hardly ever had to. I think the last time I may have spanked him he was maybe like 3, so he was doing something that a 3-year-old did, but it was bad enough, and it was more or less something he did that he could have possibly hurt himself. So I had to I had to basically show him, like, no, you do that again, you know, 1, you're gonna hurt yourself. 2, you know, daddy's gonna get on you.
Yeah.
But man, the reason I say it, man, and you may think different, Q, when you get in a if you ever get in a situation where you around another woman's kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say it's a little boy that you're around, right? And let's say this kid is just he's acting an ass, and he deserves an ass whooping, right?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be like, wait till your mama get home? Or you gonna be like, let me come? And that's what made me think about that, right? So part of the conversation I had with my son's now stepfather was, listen, man, like, by all means, you know, when my son's in your household, I do expect him to abide by the rules of your household, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know my son. I know he's not bad. You know, he doesn't do stuff that bad. I've only whooped him the last time I spanked him was when he was about 3 years old. However, if you come up on a situation in your household and he's done something bad enough to where he deserves ass whooping, I don't want to take any power out of your hands in your own household.
Respect it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to spank my child, do it, but do it respectfully. Don't beat my child, but if it's a matter of disciplining him, you could spank him, explain to him what he did wrong, why he's getting that spanking, but don't beat my child.
I don't know, bro. You a better man than me.
I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow, man. But I've been on the reverse side.
Yeah, that's what
right?
I say, Quentin.
Like, I've been on the reverse side, so I'm like, all right, like, I've been in that feeling where I've had the power taken out of my hand, and like I feel like I have to tell her mama that she did something. No, because once you do that, that kid is gonna start like that. You know, kids are smart, so they know, like, okay, yeah, when I'm with him, I'm gonna run all over him. I may get disciplined for it later by mama, but I'm gonna run all over him.
That's actually, we had a Facebook comment about that. Miss McIntyre, she said, "What if kids act different because of the other parent?" Go ahead and say what you was gonna say before we answer.
Well, no, I'm kind of with Jarvis on it. Like my husband, right? When he came into, when we got together, I think my son was like 11. 11's a little bit older in age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it depends on the age frame.
For
for
sure.
you to start, you know, and especially because my son's dad never whooped him. My son's dad might have whooped him once or twice. You know what I'm saying? He was never a physically disciplined, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Disciplinary. So for my husband, it was kind of like, okay, you come in at 11, it's kind of that middle age of, dang, if he was younger, and I think it all depends on the age range as well. Now, there's some times my son, when I say my son got out of order, and I'm just being real, like I love my son to death, but my son should have got his, you know, like I'm talking about to the point where it may have been,
we're gonna go in the backyard.
F you, da-da-da-da-da, you know what I'm saying? So my husband's like, all right, I got you. I'm going to buy boxing gloves.
Yeah.
So him and his little best friend used to stay with us. He was like, whenever y'all talk crazy, we're going in the backyard and we're going to box. You know, but it wasn't so much about me not wanting him to whoop my son or discipline him. In this day and age, it ain't like it used to be.
Nah.
I used to get whoopings. And this is real talk. I was talking my day to day. I used to get whoopings. I had bruises on me. You know what I'm saying? You touch a child today, you're going to jail. And this is what the police officer told me. And what I said is, you know, my son has worked. I mean, my husband's worked hard for his career. And I'm not going to allow the actions of my son and what he does and even his disrespectful mouth allow you to lose your career because you had to put hands on him because he thought he was too grown for his own self. You know what I mean? The police officer told me, your husband, because he's not his father, is technically not allowed to whoop your son.
It's crazy.
And the kids know that though.
Even would have been a husband.
It didn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. They know the system.
Yes,
like,
they know the system. They know, and it's like, okay, dang. Well, after this situation, then what? So of course that causes dysfunction within your family because, like you said, it feels like all the power's gone. My husband's looking at him like, man, you need your behind whooped, and you disrespectful. You doing this? I need to put hands on you. But at the same time, I got to jump in the middle, like, whoa, because I don't want you to lose your situation. you know, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I feel like, you know, when you don't have kids, if you've never whooped a child, you don't know the power, especially in anger. You don't know the power behind. You may just be so angry, and because you've never dealt with that, you could really hurt a child. You know what I mean? Like, if you've never whooped a child before like that, I've seen that.
True.
So I'm kind of with Jarvis on that. Like, if it was a situation where it's like, yo, you might not go to jail. Yeah. Like, for real, this is real talk. Like, I mean, I'm just keeping it all the way real. It was to the point where I had to separate them one time because my son was on another. Like, he tell you, my son was on one. I dislocated my shoulder. You know what I mean? Like, it was.
Man, that's what makes it like so difficult, and that's why I say.
Because they know.
Yeah, nah, like you got to be in that situation.
I guess.
I mean, but it's got to be like with another kid coming in your situation, and then still like. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow, man. However you slice it, it's a tough pill to swallow, right? Because you thinking, but at the same time, like, you have to be able to trust your child's enough to know that they made a good decision.
Quentin, let me ask you something. If you met a girl, right, and she had a child, and this child, whatever, 2 years old. Say you came into life 2 years old, and by you done raise this child up like it's your own. Whatever. Now this child's 12. 10 years you've been in this child's life. And this child does something, you know, at school or does something disrespectful. You telling me that you're never gonna feel like that, and this is the thing. She's always telling you, treat him like you treat your own. You don't want somebody to treat their child. So I can do everything for this child, take care of them, pay for them like I do my kids and do all this, but I can't discipline them? Are you telling me after 10 years I can't put hands on them, and I've been in this child's life since they was two years old?
Now, for that, I understand where you're coming from with that. But what I'm saying is, like, 10 years, okay, because I am almost like a dad to the child. But what I'm speaking on is if, like, y'all 1 or 2 years in, like,
well, that's a different story. We're talking about it in general. Yeah, of course, you got to be able to have that time and that trust built up. You're not just going to let anybody put their hands. I know married couples. I mean, she's like, man, he ain't. Listen, I know somebody. It's his child, and she said, "You ain't whooping my daughter." They're married. She was like, "I ain't letting he don't have no business putting his hand on her. She's a girl."
Hold on, it's his child.
I said, "But that's his daughter." She was like, "I don't care." I was like,
"So it's his daughter, and she still won't or doesn't want or won't allow him to whoop his own daughter."
But, man, I'm telling you, man, that's like so huge in a relationship, man. When one parent ties the hand on another parent, like,
and I'm not knocking her. I'm not. Let me say. I'm saying.
I'm knocking.
Listen. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. Everybody raises their kids differently. To teachers on. If he's okay with that, hey, that's their situation. Everybody's totally different. Everybody runs their relationships, their marriage, their situation differently. If he has a problem with it, that's something that he takes up with her. Do I agree with it? Not necessarily, but I ain't always made the perfect decisions in my relationship, you know what I'm saying, or with my kids as well. It's a live and learn. You know what it may be, because it's her only daughter, and she's like, I don't think a man should be whooping their child, but what if something happened to you and he's the one raising her, then what?
I mean, and the truth is, the reality is, man, this is what I say, the reality is like, every child responds differently to different things. So, like, my son, like, even if I spanked him, like, it wouldn't affect him as much. If I tell my son I'm disappointed in him, it crushes him. Right?
That's how my daughter is.
It crushes him. If I were to spank him, it won't do, like, he gets more hurt when I tell him that I'm disappointed in him. So, like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, every kid doesn't need to be whooped. I know a lot of kids that do need to be whooped, but every kid, like, you know, like, whoopings may work for somebody else's kids. Timeouts may work for somebody else's kids. You know what I'm saying? I've seen, like, I know people that said they've never got a whooping a day in their life.
And great.
Yeah.
And can I say something? I'm gonna be honest.
Go ahead. What you mean? Can you say something?
No, I'm saying part of. Am I? So let me say something. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, if we have more children, I would like to be able, and even in this day and age, I would like to be able to raise my child without spanking them. And I know a lot of people's like, you can't raise kids without spanking them. And I feel like you can, but this is going back into my history and reading, and I learned a lot more of my black history in college than I ever did my entire life, because they don't teach us this stuff in regular school. I ain't know about black history, so just reading on it, I don't want my kids or my son to feel like that, but you gotta start from the beginning. You can't just do it later. I don't want them to feel like the only time somebody's gonna be able to get you to do something right is by putting their hands on you.
Yeah.
I don't want that mindset. There's a lot of things I do different if we have more kids. Like they ain't gonna eat certain things, they ain't gonna drink certain things, they ain't gonna watch certain things. You know, things are gonna be different in that situation. However, that's just how I would be. I wouldn't want to whoop my children.
Yeah. I actually got a funny story. When we go to commercial break and come back about the first, the guy I was talking to about my daughter's mom, that was the first like serious relationship, I guess, at the time. But it was actually a guy before him that was around my daughter. And I ain't take too kind to that. But I'll tell y'all that story.
Was it one of your friends?
No, it wasn't. Actually, he went to K-State. I wish I could remember Buddy's name, but he actually went to K-State. You might know if I can.
We ain't calling no names. I don't hear y'all.
Oh, I call his name now because I'm still looking for him. I want that smoke still. But anyway, we're going to take a quick commercial break on He Said, She Said on WLXU 93.9 FM. We come back. We'll still talk about blended families.
You want all that smoke?
I still want that smoke. I'm still looking for Buddy. I can't remember Buddy's name. I'm actually texting him like, what was that dude's name that you was talking to? Oh my God. And it was so crazy. Nah, I'll take it.
Hey, you guys, for you watching live, make sure you go on your apps and download TuneIn. It's a TuneIn app. That way you can watch the show.
And also put it in the comments too.
Yeah, you can go and type it in. That way you can watch the show. You can listen to the show on Monday mornings. Even if you're not by radio, you can listen to it on your phone. So it's called the TuneIn app.
TuneIn app. Download it right now, ASAP. First person to download the show to us, Jarvis gonna get y'all a prize.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That. Come on.
There's a bleeding in my
But welcome back to He Said, She Said on WLXU 93.9 FM. We're talking about blended families today. So this was back when I was working at the airport for the first time.
Yeah.
Right? And when I worked there for the first time, I got off at like 11. I worked at the closing shift, right? But with me working I was my second job, but the soup at that time, he would be like, man, Q, we just got 2 planes left. You can go ahead and go home. So he would let me go home by 11:30, right? So I'm on my way home, right? You know how y'all got that women's intuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
So something told me, now keep in mind, me and my daughter's mom, we weren't messing around, but there was still feelings there, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So something told me, ride past her house, bro.
Mm.
And I never, ever ride past any woman's crib, but
Stalker.
that night, something in my gut told me, ride past her crib. So I get on the Taste Creek exit, and I'm like struggling with it. I'm like, bro, just go straight home. Just go straight home.
But your wheel turned the other way.
But my wheel turned the other way. A crazy thing happened. My wheel turned. So what was so crazy is that as I'm driving to her apartment, there's a car behind me the whole way, right? So I pull into her apartment complex, and I'm like, I know this ain't little buddy. Because I know she was dating somebody. But I was like, I know this ain't little buddy. So I pull into her apartment complex, and like, I turn around in a way to where I'm like in the middle of the parking lot so I can see him come in and see where he parked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I sit there and I'm like, I know this ain't Buddy. I know this ain't dude. So I see him park and he goes in and he knocks on my daughter's mom's door. Oh, hell no. So I parks the whip, right? I'm calling her. I was like, you got my daughter in the crib? I ain't in your own business. Woo, 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 woo. I said, tell him to come outside. Tell him to come outside.
What he do? What he do?
I said, tell him to come outside. I ain't great. I don't know why you starting all this. I said, tell him to come outside. I just want to talk to him. And I wish she could verify the story, but you know.
Well, what did he do?
So I don't know if she told him or not. You know what I'm saying, that night. But we'll get to that in a second.
Exactly, Brianna, crazy.
But so anyway, so she was like, I'm not telling him. So at this time, I'm peed off, obviously. So I called my homeboy, and I'm like, bro, woo, 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 woo. I said, I'm about to slash his tires. I'm about to bust his window.
Oh my God! Let me ask you something before you finish.
Go ahead.
Is this more about your daughter or your feelings for her? Because this sound like.
I told you, I said it was still feelings involved.
But I don't know if it was more about your feelings for her at this point.
But my daughter was in there. I told you it was a crazy story.
It's a thin line, man.
So
thin line, man.
So in my mind, but see, at the same time, I was still not knowing if my daughter was in there, and you ain't told me about this dude, and you got this dude coming over late at night with my daughter in there.
But she's probably sleeping. That's probably why she had to come over late at night.
I wasn't thinking about none of that at that time. So anyways, I'm telling my homeboy, he's like, bro, Q, you can't do that, dog, because if you do that, police gonna get involved, you gonna get locked up, what about your daughter, whatever. So I was like, man, so I'm out there with his car, and I opened the door. I said, bro, his door's unlocked. So I said, bro, his door's unlocked.
She must have had that good.
Man, look. So I opened his door. I'm sitting in bro's car at this time. So I'm sitting in my gas car at this point in time, right?
Hey,
Yeah, I'm in the driver's seat at this time. And he got some mail in his car, right? So I'm going through his mail trying to figure out where he live at, right?
I'm going to jail.
Statute of limitations is up. I can tell this story now. So I'm looking through his mail. Man, my mom just hopped on. She great to hear this story. But anyway,
Which one's your mama?
Phyllis Walker. She just hopped on.
Shout out to Phyllis.
So I'm going through his mail and trying to figure out where he lived. Meanwhile, I'm still on the phone with my homeboy, right? And he's like, bro, just leave it alone. Just go home, bro. And I'm like, nah, bro. This was the summertime, so keep in mind, at night it's still like 70-something degrees, right? So I'm like, bro, I can't do nothing. He was like, nah, bro, go home. I said, well, can I piss in this car?
What?
And he was like, what? And he did the same thing y'all was doing, right? He was busting out laughing. I was like, yeah, can I piss in this car? And he's like, bro, go ahead. So I was like, cool. So I opened the back door, back seat, pissed all in his back seat, shut the door,
Lord.
and went on home.
Hey, for all you ladies that been in the DMs, sometimes
Hey.
they be like, how I do so fine single.
Hey, man,
Hey.
that was years ago. That was years ago. That was. But the crazy thing is that him and my daughter's next boyfriend, they ended up getting into it. So my daughter's, her name is Nicole, by the way. So anyways, Nikki, she called me, well, her boyfriend called me about dude. He was like, why is dude still calling? I'm like, bro, I don't know. But if you see him, tell him I'm looking for him too. So he's like, oh yeah, whoop, because he was still bothering my daughter's mom after they stopped messing with each other. And
yeah, man, you gotta tell me who it is,
Yeah,
man. Cause I'm pretty sure if he would
I'll try to remember his name, bro.
And
But
they say females are crazy. This the one left. But they say females are crazy. Let me tell you something. I've never beefed. I've never had any beef. My kids got different dads. You know what I'm saying? I got 3 kids. I've never had beef with any of my kids' dads, girlfriends, whoever they're sleeping with, for any reason outside of them doing it. Because I feel like if you want to be with her and she want to be with you, what am I fighting for? What am I beefing for? And you want to talk about something crazy? I was living with my daughter's father, pregnant. He put me out of the room, put me in the guest room, and brought another chick home. And was sleeping with her in the next room while I was in there. Of course, it sent me in labor. I ended up having a baby, but I would come home. I'm still living with him at the time, right? My daughter comes home from the hospital. I come home. Oh, girl's holding my daughter on the couch, right? So what I did was I already had my own place. I just went ahead and moved out. I just moved in because my daughter was born when I was 5.5 months and I needed help.
Yeah.
But I left. But even through that queue, I ain't never slashed no tires. Listen.
Hey man, I ain't proud of that.
Listen, that's why my husband tells me I'm a diamond in the rough. I don't do that crazy stuff. I can't even get down like that.
Man,
I was always wondering why you was single.
Man, no, that was so long. Hey man, that story is so crazy because
you pissed in
the
his
dude's
car.
I ended up pissing in.
Nigga, you need your ass.
Later on, that's what I'm looking for. I want to come back.
No, you. Ooh.
But the thing is, it's what's so crazy. It was in the summertime, so I know that when he got in his car the next day, that he done got to it. So hey, yeah.
You was dead wrong.
I know I was, but I don't care.
But my thing is this is what I'm gonna tell you about. This is what I'm gonna tell you about my son's father and my daughter's father. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna speak on them. I never was upset about. Well, let me say my son's father. I never was upset about anybody that he had around my son because I knew how much he loved my son. And I knew that he wasn't going to bring anybody around my son that wasn't going to love my son or respect him the way that he did my child. That's the type of relationship we had. And I think that, again, it goes back to the dynamic of your relationship with your significant other, your ex or whatever. Because even coming into the relationship with my husband, he didn't understand the dynamic of my relationship. He was like, man, that's just weird.
Yeah.
I ain't never seen somebody be so cool. But then after a while, he was just like, dude's cool. He was like, he's cool. It's like you want to be able to have that decent relationship because your kids is going to be caught in the middle. And your kids understand when there's, you know what I'm saying, tension in the relationships. And it makes them feel a certain way. Or they feel like I'm stuck in the middle because they may really like the person. but they feel like I can't like this person because my daddy don't like this person.
Yeah, yeah.
And they feel stuck in the middle. That's not fair to the child. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like as adults, those are the things we have to be mindful. It's not just about us and our feelings. And like I said last week, you weren't here. My husband told me, we just had this conversation that he said, men marry to basically have kids, start a family. He said, because at the end of the day, no man really wants their child to be around somebody else. So if they going to have kids, they going to want to be with the woman that they have kids by.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the biggest thing when a lot of, you know, when
They
men
slip
make the
up.
decision to marry and have kids. You know, but things don't always work out like that. I was 15 when I had my first child. You know, we young, we make decisions.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can't have a blended family and it can't work out. And like you said, because you've never been in that situation before, you may not understand. Jarvis has been on the other side. Yeah. Man, what? Pissy Willie.
Hey man, shout out to Janelle. She said, just know there's more dudes out there like y'all. Glad I'm not alone. Seriously.
Hey, but real talk though, like, and now that I'm thinking about it, I remember the way me and my girl kind of played our whole situation out. And I recommend it for anybody, right? So the way we introduced each other to each other as kids or whatever is we played it as like we was just friends, right? So anytime we was around, it was more like, hey, let's go over here. You know, we're gonna meet up here, and you know, hey, this is Daddy's friend. You know, this is her daughter. You know, and she did it. So for the and this was probably for like the first like 3-4 months. You know, and the kids probably had a idea, but didn't really think nothing. But okay, this is just a friend, right? but it smoothed things over. Like, I mean, it wasn't like
It was a good transition in between.
Yeah, if we would have just, you know, if we decided that it wasn't going to work, we could have left and it wouldn't have been nothing else to it.
Right.
It didn't. You know what I'm saying? We stayed on the path. So, and I remember about three months later down the road, you know, both the kids were like, so are y'all boyfriend, girlfriend? But we had never like kissed in front of them. We had never did anything like intimately or anything. So
I think it's important that your kids are involved in your relationship. Like you said, if it's a relationship. You know what I mean? I think that's important because the dynamic. And to be honest with you, when I was younger, I didn't think that way. I'm just like, I'm grown. Nobody worry about what they said as long as I'm happy. But that's not always the case because everybody's not always good with kids. Everybody's not always going to understand. Like you said, you may raise your kids one way in your house. I may raise my kids one way in my house.
yeah.
And it may not always come together. It may not work. Parenting skills are different.
Before we wrap this up, I got one last question to ask. How would you deal with it if the person you was dating isn't good with kids? Like she
Gotta go.
It don't work.
Like she wants to be a good whatever, but she's just not good
When
with kids.
you mean not good with them?
She doesn't connect with them.
Is it something that can be learned because she doesn't have kids and it's something you can show and she can grow into? Because some people that don't have kids just really don't know how to deal with kids. Or are you saying she's mean or
No. If she's mean and all of that, then obviously, yeah. But if there's something like you said, if she doesn't have kids, so she doesn't know what to do, quote unquote, is that something?
Parenting don't come with a handbook.
That's what I'm saying.
I ain't always been a perfect
But
parent.
people who don't have kids, they think that, okay, they know what to do. It's like, no, bro, we just wing it and we just, go with it and we learn how to parent along the way.
Right.
So would you like break that down to your significant other and expect him to understand that?
No, listen, me and my husband don't always have the same agreement on kids. You know what I'm saying? We don't always agree on the same things, but that doesn't mean there's a right way and there's a wrong way. Because there's been a lot of times, and I can admit it, my husband always says, I don't never say sorry. But there's a lot of times where I thought back, no, for real. For real. I'm just being real.
Hey,
like, he's told me
just say sorry, just
Listen,
cause.
I'm sorry, baby. So, look, there's been a lot of times where I thought I was right in situations. And I just, with him and like, you can't tell me I'm wrong. And then years later, I went back and been like, damn.
Yeah.
I was tripping.
Yeah.
Like, what was I on? You know what I'm saying? So
Trust me,
I
I know.
tell you and him and you know what? Anyway, so the struggle's real. You know what I'm saying? Like she said, like
in life, parenting life just in general is a maturation process, and it never stops, right?
Facts.
So you always, I mean, 10 minutes later after disciplining your son or your daughter, you may look back and say, dang, I could have did this different.
Man,
I always do that, yeah.
let me tell y'all something real. This is crazy. And this is, I don't really share this, but I look back at it now, man, I feel bad. I feel like I didn't go back and apologize. But I was younger and I didn't know how to, and I wasn't no kid.
Yeah.
Man, listen, my oldest daughter, I think she was 18 at the time or 17. And I never really put them in a situation to know that. I think she told somebody, man, I heard my mom and her is with my husband, of course, having sex. So the embarrassment in me felt a certain way. So she's upstairs telling her little sister. Little sister's 15. She's tired of her laughing. I goes off. I'm yelling at her, going off, and I'm feeling like I'm right. And I felt, you know what I'm saying? Like, you only be like, but the thing is, I never had that conversation with her. Yeah. I never set her down. So now when I look back at it, even 5-6 years later, I'm like, damn, like, that's not the way for me to handle that. I should have really, she was younger. She didn't know. She had never seen it. Man, right. Thank God for growth. Because with me, I'm learning a lot of stuff. And I need to say something real quick. Can I say something?
Hey,
I got a question, y'all. I'm just trying to see if I can, real quick before we get out of here. This is the question that I wanted to ask and we didn't get a chance to ask. And I'll say it to y'all. So your son, right? And he goes, like, if they coming to get the kids, remember the situation we was talking about? Yeah. So if you have kids and you have kids by somebody else, and then the mama wants to take the other kids, would you allow your child, would you feel a certain way if your child went with the other daddy?
Oh, that.
Yeah, that.
It depends. Not every weekend, but if it's an event, you know what I'm saying, birthdays or amusement parks or something to that effect, I'm okay with that. But every weekend, no, that's not happening though.
Yeah, no, it don't have to be every weekend, but I've heard some guys saying, nah, why they gotta go with their daddy? They ain't gotta, well, you spend time with their child, and little kids don't understand.
Yeah, but I would have to know, like, the dynamic would have to be out there that I know that one, that this guy is a good guy, takes care of his kids. And if he's just, and if it's more or less a thing of, him saying to himself, I don't want my kids to not be around all their siblings or something like that, and he's really genuine about that, and I know that he's a good dude and wouldn't put my son around any hurt, harm, or danger, I'd be okay with it. But I agree with Q. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be like a every weekend thing.
No, definitely, because that's the time you want to spend with it. But this is the thing. I feel like any man that comes around and wants to take somebody else's kids and you not with that, for me, is a stand-up dude. Yeah. He ain't got to come and get your kids. Yeah. He coming to get his kids. Yeah. That's kind of like somebody that's like, dang, I'm thinking about the kids first. They don't maybe not understand, well, why are they leaving and I don't get to leave? So no, it don't have to be every weekend. But I've heard plenty of dudes saying, nah, my son ain't going with that. Why he got to do that? And I just think that's childish. That's just my opinion. Of course, you got to have some type of relationship with that guy. Yeah, you got to know him.
There got to be some type of boundaries.
Yeah, but that one guy said on the thing that it's disrespectful for the mama to even ask. And I don't agree with that at all.
I mean, the reality is if you put people in situations, and if the situation was a favoring situation for that person, he would probably think differently, right? Mm-hmm. So, him reading it online, seeing it, he's going to be like, oh, hell no. But her actually saying, like, hey, dude
is a good guy.
Dude's a good guy. Your son's siblings are always wanting to spend time with with your son. Do you mind if that? And he'll probably be like, you know what? Yeah, it's cool. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But him just reading, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. When I first read it, I was like, hell no. Yeah. Like when I first read it, but it took for me to have to sit there and think like,
you gotta be on the other side.
Yeah, and it is childish. But
Shaquille won. Communication is good. Shaquille won the prize, so Shaquille, you get your prize from Q. Call 1-800. I piss in cars.
Man, what? That's crazy. But we're gonna wrap this thing. We appreciate everybody who tuned in today. Please make sure everybody share the Facebook live feed. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Please make sure you add more people to the page. Tag a friend and tell them to come follow the page as well. We also want y'all to post, things into the group page, get conversations going in that page as well. Mama, can you please stop laughing at them? But Jarvis gonna say something before we get on up out of here, man.
Man, same old, man. If it don't make sense, it don't make sense, man. Hey, man, y'all have a good one, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in.
It was Chrissy J.
Girl, Chrissy J. I was on the ones and twos today. Live it like
Did
you love it.
She put the shades back on?
Yeah, she put the shades back on.
Live it like you love it or leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. 1, 2.
My mama gonna be like, boy, what are you doing?
Hey, Shakia, don't.
I know, girl. I got them for Christmas.
Shakia, please don't hype them shades.
Yeah, you better rock them shades. Gosh, from here on out, she gonna come in here with these shades on.
We can't rock Gucci, so why can't rock my Louis?
You better rock your hat or something. Can I get something?
You know what, Jarvis? Man, we don't never.
I mean, y'all don't come here, boy. Listen, let me tell y'all
We
something.
don't
I
never
make
do
sure I'm
that.
straight for y'all every week. Makeup done, hair
Hold on,
done.
Al. Hold on,
They come in
fam.
here.
Christina, hold on, fam.
They come in here like whatever. I comes in here and make sure I'm together.
Hold on, man. I got my Superman joint on, fam.
I got my Asada Shakur shirt on, man.
And
man.
I got my gray sweatpants on. But anyways,
But
we gotta go to
you
the
know what I'm saying? They ain't rocking like this.
DJ get her, tell her sit down.
I'm about to show some thigh or something up there next time, man. Come on, man.
You ready to show some thighs up in here, Jarvis? But yeah, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We really do. And like I said, please, everybody, make sure that you add friends to the page so we can keep this thing growing.
We enjoy you too, Miss Phyllis.
Miss Phyllis, boy, I said, I swear for the Lord. We can't get up out here. We want you to treat somebody how you want somebody to treat your mama. We out of here.
Peace. Don't be hating on my sunglasses.
Hey, we still live.